celebrating birthdays. If it was a practice even among them, then they would have known the day of his birthday. And similarly, ikhwan, in our ummah and with our deen, the celebration of birthdays is not something that we have any or that anyone has any evidence for. Not the birthday of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam or the birthday of any individual ikhwan from among the human beings. Yet still we have and we see how the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentioned that if one of us or one of them were to enter a lizard's hole, there would be somebody from my ummah that would follow them into that. And that, ayyuhal ikhwa, indicates clearly the importance of clinging to that which Allah Azza wa Jal has given us and not being lackadaisical in that regard and not being easygoing in regards to it. So as far as the 25th then of December being celebrated as the birth of Isa ibn Maryam, as we mentioned, ikhwan, its origin returns back to these pagan and everything else that we see throughout the celebration of Christmas has its origin in that pagan festival. An example of that is during Saturnalia, individuals would walk in groups, naked. They would go from door to door. And in a naked state, they would knock doors and they would sing songs, naked. During the 8-day festival, there was no law. So all of the courts, the Roman courts would close because it was 8 days of not only debauchery and drunkenness and what have you, but even the law courts would shut down because no one would be prosecuted for doing anything lawless on that day or anything against the law, unlawful on that day or throughout the 8-day festivities. And so individuals, if you murdered during Saturnalia, you wouldn't be taken into account. Similarly, in this carnival of debauchery and lewdness, women would be raped. All part of Saturnalia, particularly on the 25th. And even though, ikhwan, those practices were removed slowly but surely up until the 18th century in Europe, for a man to take a woman and have lewd and illicit practices with her was something that was accepted up until the 18th century. Relatively recently, the practice then of kissing under the mistletoe that we see continuing to manifest itself during Christmas time returns back again, ikhwan, to a pagan practice, which in actuality was and returns back to Norse mythology, which was a pagan mythology that revolved around a particular god that was known among the pagans as Balder, who was killed by his enemy using mistletoe, because mistletoe, ikhwan, is very toxic. Mistletoe, it is actually poisonous. And you'll be told, even if you buy mistletoe now, not encouraging any brothers to buy any mistletoe for any reason whatsoever, but if you were to buy mistletoe now, you'll be told, be careful with it because it's very dangerous. Mistletoe is actually very toxic, and in the mythology of the Druids, who were the pagans who were present here in England even, they held that a god known as Balder, he was killed using an arrow that was poison or had upon it poisonous mistletoe, that on the basis of it he was killed. And that no doubt was because of him or his enemy, a god known as Hada, that they were fighting over a female. And it was mistletoe that was used to kill that god within their mythology, Balder. It was poisonous mistletoe that was used to kill it because of this woman. And so when they incorporated paganism into Christianity and allowed it to come in because of these pagans who were already practicing that, the belief that revolved around mistletoe and that which is related to lewdness was incorporated into Christmas practices and Christmas celebrations. And so we have this affair of kissing under the mistletoe. Similarly, as far as the other aspects and practices within during Christmas, we have another practice, and that is on top of the carol singing, which has its origin in this going door to door naked and singing and raping women and what have you. That became carol singing, which this practice was similar, going door to door, singing in a group, and trying to encourage people to join them as a group, singing those songs that were related to the festivity. Similarly, we have that which is related to the worship of the Christmas tree. Again, a practice, ikhwan, that was taken from the pagans. It was actually a cult, ikhwan, and the followers of a cult called the Ashira cult, who were individuals who were fought against on the basis of their belief during the Romans, the Roman Empire, and in and among the Roman Empire, because they worshipped trees. And they were pagans, again, who they attempted to call them to Christianity. They wouldn't leave their worship of trees. And so they said, you can incorporate, because they had one day when they would worship, which is a specific day of festivities and specific day of celebration, where they would worship the tree. And so within the Roman Empire, they allowed them to become Christian. And they said, or they came to an agreement with them, because the Christian Empire was harsh and brutal in many ways in propagating Christianity. So they allowed them to become Christians, and they allowed them to bring their tree and the celebration of the tree into Christianity. But they said, instead of having it on the day that you ordinarily celebrate it, bring it and celebrate it on the 25th. Just as your friends and companions who worship, who celebrate Saturnalia, they celebrate on the 25th. Bring that tree worship into and on during the same time, and we can make it one big festival of celebration, and you can incorporate your tree worship into that. And they allowed them that. And thus, ikhwan, we have the incorporation of the Christmas tree into Christian celebration. And in fact, ikhwan, in the Bible itself, those who decorate Christmas trees and worship them are dispraised and cursed in the Bible. There are verses within the Bible that dispraise those who decorate trees and then worship those trees. That they cut them down, they decorate them, and they worship them. They're dispraised in the Bible. Yet still we see the exact same practice being incorporated, ikhwan, into Christian practice. Similarly, the affair of giving gifts during the festival, again, ikhwan, it has its origin in pagan practice. There was a female god in and among the pagan practice, who was known for putting presents in a stocking to give to children, in a sock, and giving them to children. Again, ikhwan, that paganistic belief was incorporated into the celebration of Christmas. What then about Santa Claus? Santa Claus, ikhwan, also known as Saint Nicholas. Saint Nicholas actually, ikhwan, was Turkish. That he was an individual who was born in an area in Turkey, approximately in the year 270 Christian era, and he was involved, ikhwan, he was one of those who were involved and was a participant in the Council of Nicaea. If any of you have done any looking into the Bible and how the Bible was changed and so on, you will know that in the year 325 Christian era, there was a council or a big shura meeting, if you like, in and among Christendom, where they brought individuals, all of the high priests within Christendom together. The Roman Empire, the Roman Emperor Constantine, he was sick of the fighting that had taken place after the death, or after the ascent of Isa ibn Maryam, after the ascent of Isa ibn Maryam. What happened, Ikhwan, in and among Christendom, was that Christians split. After Isa ibn Maryam had ascended, Christians split into three groups. There was a group who said that the one who was with us was God himself. There was a second group who said that the one who was with us was the very Son of God. And there was a third group who said, in fact, the one who was with us was a prophet of God. And they were known as the Yaqubiyya. They were known as the Yaqubiyya. The first two groups came together and fought against and killed the majority of the Yaqubiyya, those who held and maintained that it was not the Son of God, it was not God himself, but that it was a prophet of God. And so what happened very quickly after the ascent of Isa ibn Maryam, those who held that he was only a messenger, they were killed other than a few of them. But some of those beliefs, the belief that he was God himself, or the belief that he was a son of God or a messenger of God, caused difference in and among Christendom, and you had individuals who did not accept that he was a son of God. And those individuals, Ikhwan, would be crucified and they'd be burnt at the stake. And because of the fighting and the killing that took place in and among Christendom, the Roman Emperor at that time decided that he is going to bring Christians together, high priests and people of importance among Christendom together. He was going to unite them under one roof, and then they were going to codify the Bible. That is, we're going to remove from the Bible that which is creating the problems, that which causes you to have the opinions that you have, and that which causes you to have your position. We're going to remove it from the Bible, and we're going to unite upon one book that is not the cause of differing and fighting among you. And so they removed a number of the books of the Bible, the Maccabees, they removed many of the books, the Apocryphas, many of the books were removed from the Bible, those books that they considered incongruent with the message of the Bible. And so when those books were removed, the rest of Christendom were united upon this one book that, as far as they were concerned, had one message. And that occurred and took place in the year 325 Christian era. One of the main and the most active and the most superior of the people of knowledge who were present at that time was this Nicholas from Turkey, and he went on to become a saint, and he was given this title of Saint Nicholas. But that was very late. In fact, it wasn't until the 19th century that he was considered a saint. In any case, Saint Nicholas was the one, Ikhwan, who was considered the origin of Santa Claus. It should be known that Santa Claus and the